Hello, today we're going to walk through setting up Explore Analytics evaluation against your ServiceNow environment. These steps can be used whether you're doing this for an evaluation or whether you're using this for production, but we'll include the steps of how to register with Explore Analytics as well. So the first step in using Explore Analytics is to register for your own account. So if I go to my.exploreanalytics.com/registration, which I can get to through the main web page or through any links to this site. I'm going to put my information in. I can also sign in directly through Google, but for right now I'm going to just use the traditional form. Now, as soon as I click continue, I'm going to get a message that says that a activation email is on its way to my inbox. So now if I look at my email account, I see here's a link that says enclosed is your account activation. I won't be able to log in to my account until I've followed this URL. So now it asks for the new user activation. So if I say continue, it's going to ask for these security questions. And sorry if you're watching that I'm not going to give my actual information. And I will click submit. So now it says that my registration is complete and I can continue to log in. So it's and I'm going to say keep me signed in and logged in. Great. You've now completed the first step of evaluating Explore Analytics. You've created your own fully functional Explore Analytics environment. By clicking on demo views, I can see some out-of-the-box views that are available with some demo data. So I can very easily see some examples of reports. But we want to connect this to ServiceNow so that we can see our own data in real time. Thankfully, this is going to be a very quick process if you follow these steps. I'm going to go to data, and I'm going to say I want to add a new data source. And in this case, the data source we want to add is ServiceNow, and I'll click OK. Now at this link, I have the ability to download an update set, so I'm going to click here. If you're familiar with ServiceNow update sets are XML packages that allow you to drop in, pre-built integrations or other capabilities into your ServiceNow environment. So I have this, it's called ServiceNow Update Set 2 .xml, and I'm going to switch over to my ServiceNow instance. Now this is a ServiceNow instance I got from ServiceNow's developer site, but this could be your dev environment or a sandbox or a POC environment. And in the left-hand navigator, I'm going to go to Retrieved Update Sets. This is where you can load update sets to ServiceNow directly from an XML file. So I'm going to select Import Update Set from XML, and I'm going to select the update set that we just downloaded, and I'll click Upload. Once this is uploaded, you should have the update set Explore Analytics in a state of loaded. So I'm going to select onto that. I'm going to click Preview Update Set. And ServiceNow is going to walk through its process of comparing this update set against any configurations you already have to see that it's safe to apply. And you'll see that there's no collision, so there's no issues here, and I can click Commit Update Set. Great, the update set is now committed. Now the next component of this process is that we're going to need to provide a service account. So you'll see on this form, after we downloaded the update set, we're going to need to provide some information about this. So we'll call this ServiceNow. And in this case, I'm just going to copy from the URL here to put into this form. Now it's going to ask for a username and password. You can provide your own credentials if your credentials have the capability to access ServiceNow, or you can create a dedicated service account. So I'm going to show you creating a dedicated service account just in case you don't have one handy that you can plug in. So in ServiceNow, I'm going to go to the users table, and I'm going to create a new user. I'm going to call the user Explore service account. I'm going to give it the password that we're going to use to log it in. And I'm also going to check off web service access only. It's not required, but this means that users can't log in directly to your ServiceNow environment. They could only make web service calls. And I'll right-click and say Save. So we have a user ID, we have a password, and it's marked active as true, so the only thing that remains is to give this some roles. Now, the roles it's going to need are a couple roles in specific. Now, obviously, you could give it admin if you want to give it access to everything, but if you want to give it a more limited set of roles, I'm going to need a role called SOAP script. That gives it the ability to query via web services. I'm going to need the role content admin to be able to publish to the ServiceNow dashboard. And then I'm going to need any roles that allow me to access data that I want to report against. So for example, if I give this user ITIL admin, I'll get incident, problem, change, the service catalog, and kind of those kinds of tables that I might want to report against. So for right now, we'll leave it at that. You can always come back and add additional roles later. But now I have this active user, and it has some roles, so we can now proceed to the next step. I'm going to switch over to Explore Analytics. I'm going to type in the user and the password. I'm going to select a time zone. Now, this checkbox will automatically load some demo views. This checkbox, which we recommend, automatically sets up the ServiceNow single sign-on. And then this checkbox runs the queries on behalf of the ServiceNow user that's logged in, so that you'll always see your information filtered based on who you are in ServiceNow. As soon as I click OK, it's going to begin the process of configuring this data. Now, the process may take a few minutes to load. That's because what Explore Analytics is doing is it's looking at the dictionary in your ServiceNow instance to discover what tables and fields are available to query. So it may take 5 to 10 minutes, maybe a little bit longer if you used an admin account, in which case it's looking at every field in every table. But once this is done, you won't need to do it again. So now it says that the data source ServiceNow is successfully created. And you'll see that it redirected me to the ServiceNow data source, so I can see which tables loaded, and I can see, based on the access, I have about 732 rows of various, CMDB and task tables. So now that I have loaded all of these tables, I can go to File and select New View to create a new report. And now the ServiceNow data source is available, so I can select one of the tables that are here. And if I select incident, and we'll make this a chart, my first incident chart, and I'll click finish. So now, as soon as I select what type of chart I want to create, we'll start with a bar chart. This is actually running live queries to that ServiceNow instance. And I can very easily, break this down by assignment group, and it runs the query and breaks this by assignment group. And within that, we'll make it priority. I'll make this a horizontal bar that's stacked up top to bottom, and we'll make an animation that lets me say based off of the category. So just a simple report. I used some drop downs to define this. I now have a drop down that lets the user select what category they want to look at, and within that I have information on the priority and which assignment group. So now to put this report back in ServiceNow, I'm going to go to File and select Publish. So my first report, I'm going to check off Publish to ServiceNow, and then I'm going to click Next through all the options and click Finish. I now have a URL. I can embed this into any portal, but you'll see that it says a ServiceNow content block was created. So now if I switch back to ServiceNow, I can find a dashboard. We'll say the ITIL homepage. I'm going to go to Add Content, and the update set added this Explore Analytics option, and you'll see that I have this My First Incident chart. I add it where I want on the dashboard, and I have all of this report right here at my fingertips. I can drill through to details. I can use any of these interactive controls directly here in the user interface. That's all we're going to cover today. So as you can see, in just a few minutes, we created an Explore Analytics environment, connected to ServiceNow, and published our first live report to the ServiceNow dashboard. If you want more information, under the help, there's a link to the user's guide, which is all of our documentation. Other video tutorials, for example, some specific ServiceNow use cases like aging report and things like that. And you can also reach out to us through our community and support portal or by contacting technical support. We'd be happy to look at any of your specific use cases and give you a hand. Thank you all for watching. Good luck writing reports.